Welcome back, Patriots. Welcome to Sons of Liberty 1773. This is indeed where men and women from around the world gather in defense of liberty. I am your host, Bill Bailey, who will be channeling the patriotism of America's founding fathers. In 1749, Sam Adams, father of the American Revolution, wrote, "Neither the wisest constitution nor the wisest laws will secure the liberty and happiness of a people whose manners are universally corrupt." And we are living in corrupt times. Let's get right to it, shall we? On Sunday, there is a systematic and organized attack by the radical left, from the federal government right down to the state AG offices. This is planned. In Star Wars, this would be Order 66, where they was given, and that was all the planets in the Galactic Republic were attacked, the Jedi and the Guardians of the Republic, and it was the Empire taking over. It's happening now on Earth, just in a slightly different way with they're hoping to build the evil empire here, right, and destroy the liberty and freedom in our constitutional republic. So this started Sunday. Okay, folks, stay with me. Wow, this is Trump. Wow, on Sunday night while I was with my family, having just arrived from the Turning Point event in Florida, where I won the straw poll against all other Republican candidates with 85.7%, with all polls showing me leading in the Republican primary by very substantial numbers, almost everyone predicting that I will be the Republican nominee for president, and I am leading Democrat Joe Biden in the polls by a lot. Horrifying news for our country was given to me by my attorneys. Deranged Jack Smith, the prosecutor with Joe Biden's DOJ, sent a letter. Again, it was Sunday night, stating that I am a target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and giving me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and indictment. So now Joe Biden's Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who I turned down for the United States Supreme Court, thank God, in retrospect based on his corrupt and unethical actions, a very wise decision, together with Joe Biden's Department of Injustice, have effectively issued a third indictment and arrest of Joe Biden's number one political opponent, who is largely dominating him in the race for the presidency. Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before, even close. They illegally spied on my campaign, attacking me with a totally fake dossier that was funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC. Impeached me twice. I won both times. They failed on the Mueller witch hunt, no collusion. They failed on the Russia hoax, the 51 intelligence agents fraud, the FBI Twitter files, the DOJ Facebook censorship, and every other scam imaginable. But on top of that, they have now effectively indicted me 3 times. The DOJ staffed and runs the DA's office in Manhattan, with a probable fourth coming from Atlanta, where the DOJ are in strict and possible illegal coordination with the district attorney, whose record on murder and other violent crimes is abysmal. The witch hunt is all about election interference, and a complete and total political weaponization of law enforcement is very sad and dark period in our nation. Part 2. Under the United States Constitution, I have a right to protect. Under the United States Constitution, we all do, right? Have a right to protest an election that I'm fully convinced was rigged and stolen, just as the Democrats have done against me in 2016 and many others have done over the ages. But the Democrats have gone much further than that has ever happened before. They cheated on the elections rather than looking at the cheaters, the weaponization, DOJ and FBI targets, and harass those who complain about the cheaters and the massive fraud that took place. The prosecutor involved in the case, and likewise the Boxes hoax, the Manhattan and Atlanta district attorneys, the New York AG, etc., has been overturned unanimously in the Supreme Court, headed and caused the Lois Lerner IRS scandal, and failed miserably miserably in his prosecution of John Edwards, where the case was forced to be dropped along with numerous other catastrophes. He has had a vicious but disastrous career and is a known biased and obsessed Trump hater, as is his family. Whether it's their failure to mention the Presidential Records Act, prosecutorial misconduct, their dominance of the Manhattan DA, including the fact that Hillary Clinton lawyer Mark Pomerantz left a top Democrat law firm run by Chuck Schumer's brother to join the DA's office and become a prosecutor against me, and then quit against all rules, regulations, and laws when the office would not prosecute. He wrongfully wrote a book while working at the office and now is under scrutiny. Or a perfect phone call made to many lawyers and a Secretary of State without any protestation of my call because nothing that was said was wrong. It was clearly a complaint about an election. These are all hoaxes and scams made up to stop me from fighting for the American people, but I will never stop. This has been a never-ending fight from the day I came down the escalator in Trump Tower many years ago. So interesting that in this case, the information was delivered to me on Sunday night, less than 24 hours after I suggested during a major speech that the federal government assume control of a filthy, unsanitary, neglected, and crime-ridden Washington, D.C., where murder and violent crime are rampant and people no longer want to go to our nation's capital. And yet that is where Biden's DOJ actually wants my trial to take place. All because they think, especially after my strong words of a federal takeover at the speech, a D.C. jury will do whatever they want. Very unfair. And they are. That's why they're going to do this in D.C. And what they're going to try to charge Trump under, if I can find it really quick, it's under the 14th Amendment, Section 3, I do believe. Let me find it, folks. Now, keep in mind, the 14th Amendment was written in the Civil War ended in 1865, I believe, and this was 11 months after the Civil War ended, okay, is when the 14th Amendment was passed. And it was put in place, this part that they're going to try him under. Read it. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector or president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who have previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. So what they're talking about is, keep in mind, this was 11 months after the end of the Civil War, after Richard E. Lee brought the remainder of his forces to Appomattox and surrendered to General Grant, and the war was effectively over. This was put in place so General Lee, Jefferson Davis, who was the president of the Confederacy, and other peoples that had committed rebellion against the America could not run for office. That's why it's there. And there's another part in here. So people, the KKK, which were Democrats, by the way, couldn't intimidate people to not vote and that type of stuff. So these are Civil War era sections in the 14th Amendment that they're going to try to use against Trump, and it's complete BS. Now, if you want to talk about aiding and abetting the enemy, right, I think we can talk about Joe Biden being compromised and pay for play from the Chinese communist, from Ukraine. It's all coming out now. I mean, it's he's guilty as hell. Leaving a wide open border. I mean, one thing after the other. Biden is guilty of, but this is what the communists do. They point at the innocent. No, it's not our family that's evil. It's Trump's. His crack smoking, messed up family, allegedly. I think we're kind of beyond that, but whatever. That was Sunday, right? The letter with Trump. And now let's get to the stories, okay? So what was Sunday's date? What was that? Let's just keep the dates right. Hang on, folks. I gotta look at my calendar. Do I have my calendar open? Today is the 21st. So Sunday was the 16th, okay? So that was the 16th, the Trump, right? On the 18th, Dana Nessel, our local tyrant here in Michigan, breaking, Democrat Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel criminally charges 16 dueling Trump electors in 2020 election. Democrat Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel on Tuesday criminally charged 16 dueling Trump electors in the state's 2020 election. As you can see, the average age of these people is like 70 years old. They're long-term Republicans that are well-known and shakers and mover in the conservative movement here in Michigan. So they're going after their political enemies, right? Trump at the top, and now they're going after them. They're charging them with 14-year felonies, right? Here's what: the 1 count of conspiracy to commit forgery, a 14-year felony; 2 counts of forgery, a 14-year felony; 1 count of conspiracy to commit uttering and publishing, a 14-year felony; a count of uttering and publishing, a 14-year felony; 1 count of conspiracy to commit election law forgery, a 5-year felony; and 2 counts of election law forgery, a 5-year felony. And then this, another leak: Georgia prosecutors prepare sprawling racketeering charge against Trump based on influencing witnesses and computer trespass. Okay, follow me on this story, folks. Fulton County prosecutors are preparing sprawling racketeering charges against Trump over his efforts to challenge the 2020 election in Georgia. And regarding the alternate electors, folks, that's just complete garbage. Democrats have had alternate electors whenever there was a Republican election that was contested. This is nothing abnormal. The Constitution allows for this, but they're going to tie these folks, these Republicans, up in court and make them spend tens, if not hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? And whose money are they spending? Our taxpayer money, right? It just stinks. So Fulton County prosecutors now in Georgia are preparing sprawling racketeering charges against Trump over his efforts to challenge the 2020 election in Georgia. And the Fulton County District Attorney investigating Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election results in the state of Georgia has developed evidence to charge a sprawling racketeering indictment next month, according to 2 people briefed on the matter. The racketeering statute in Georgia requires prosecutors to show the existence of an enterprise and a pattern of racketeering activity that is predicated on at least 2 qualifying crimes. I can tell you who's guilty of racketeering, and it starts with the Biden DOJ, and it goes into these state Democrat AG's office and federal prosecutors that are friendly to the regime. That's where the real racketeering's happening. This is going to be BS too, but here's what they're up to. In the Trump investigation, the Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis has evidence to pursue a racketeering indictment predicated on statutes related to influencing witnesses and computer trespass, the people said. For the computer trespass charge, where prosecutors would have to show that defendants used a computer or network without authority, remember what this says right here, without authority to interfere with a program or data. That would include the breach of voting machines in Coffee County, the 2 people said. The breach of voting machines involved a group of Trump operatives paid by then Trump lawyer Sidney Powell, accessed the voting machines at the county's election office and copying sensitive voting system data. The copied data from the Dominion voting systems machines, which are used statewide in Georgia, was then uploaded to a password-protective site from where election deniers, love their phrasing, don't you, could download the material as part of a misguided effort to prove the 2020 election has been rigged. Now to Michigan, okay? Judge paves way for charges in Michigan vote machine tampering probe. And there's our hero, Matt DePerno. A special prosecutor is probing whether Matt DePerno and other 2020 election deniers illegally tampered with state voting machines. These are not machines in Antrim County, by the way. The prosecutor we had a judge's order. The prosecutor sought a ruling on whether suspects can be charged with tampering, even if local clerks gave them access to machines. On Wednesday, an Oakland County judge indicated that the law would still apply, setting the stage for possible grand jury charges. I don't know if you've known this, but Dana Nessel convened a grand jury to go after Matt DePerno and these other attorneys. Further down, at this time, Nessel's office alleges DePerno, Matt DePerno, Stephanie Lambert, and 7 others orchestrated a coordinated plan to gain access to voting machines in multiple jurisdictions following the 2020 presidential election. Attempting to prove the machines were rigged against Trump, the suspects allegedly took 5 ballot tabulators from Barry, Roscommon, and Muscogee County to Oakland County. There, Michigan State Police contend the machines were broken into for test, according to court filings. DePerno has criticized the investigation as a political witch hunt. It is. That was launched by the former political rival Dana Nessel, who was a stormtrooper for the regime. Other suspects in the case include Barry County Sheriff Darleaf, Cyber Ninjas CEO Doug Logan, Ben Cotton, Jeff Lindbergh, Ann Howard, and James Penrose. Cyber Ninjas, a private firm reported based in Florida, also led a controversial audit of the 2020 presidential election in Maricopa County, Arizona, that critics decry was partisan. But if we back up real quick here, because you can see what's happening in Georgia now. They're setting the stage for Michigan, right? Another leak, Georgia prosecutors prepare sprawling racketeering charges against Trump based on influencing witnesses and computer trespass. Sounds like they're going to start the same crap in Michigan. So this is organized, folks. And so there's racketeering going on. And it's with the Biden communist. Judge Eileen Cannon sets Trump trial date for May 20th, 2024, 6 months before election, for Jack Smith's garbage classified documents case. We all see what's going on now, right, folks? They waited to make these charges so where the court dates will interfere. They want to take Trump off the campaign stage. They want to lock him up. They want to put him in prison. And I'm actually fearful of that happening in Washington, D.C., because you know damn well he's not going to get a fair jury there. It ain't going to happen. It is biased. The town is a bunch of lefty loons, and they're going to try to lock up our president and put him in prison behind bars. I don't know what happens if they're successful with that. I know they all want us to stay calm, but at the founding of this country, I will tell you that Sam Adams and John Hancock and all of them in the Sons of Liberty, and everybody was fighting. They wanted to peacefully resolve their issues with the crown. They did not want to go to war, okay? And if you read the 26 or 7 grievances in the Declaration, it states their issues and why they were going to war. That they tried time and time again to get the king to listen, and he wouldn't. And they exhausted all peaceful means before they finally had to take up arms. And had not our founders resorted to an armed revolution, they would have continued under tyranny, and we wouldn't have been here. So I am for all peaceful means, okay? Exhausting all peaceful means. But like I've said time and time again, I'm not going to live under communism. So moving on. A day after Rand Paul announced he's going to move forward with criminal prosecution or something to that effect against Fauci, his Kentucky office burns. Suspicious timing there, isn't it, folks? There are no coincidences, right? Do I have these in the right order? Let's do it right here. Every statement you made about me is inaccurate. These are defamations used to censor me. RFK goes scorched earth on nasty Democrat after she slanders and advocates censoring him, a Democrat. The girl from Florida, the really, is her name in here? I can't think of her name. She's a wicked person. She says the name real quick. I should have it pulled up. But anyways, they're trying to censor him at a House meeting on ending censorship. And it was an impassioned speech. I really like RFK. I don't agree with a lot of his policies. He agrees with a lot of the woke stuff. And but he would be 1,000 times better than any Democrat presidential nominee or Democrat president we've had in my lifetime. And so they're trying to end him, right? The Dem majority leader, Jeffrey, slanders Robert Kennedy Jr., claims his campaign is a living, breathing false flag operation run by right-wing political operatives. I said from the get-go that the Democrats will never allow Robert Kennedy Jr. to be their nominee. They are going to destroy him. And what I hope is, if they're successful in stopping him, is that he runs as a third-party candidate, because I believe that will split the Democrat ticket and Trump will have easy sailing into the White House. Not that there aren't Republicans that would vote for him as well, though. So, maybe not. Maybe that ain't a good thing. Breaking, Grassley releases FBI document showing Joe Biden was involved in $10 million bribery scheme with Burisma. It's so dirty, folks. It's out in the open now. Everybody knows about it. It's not fake BS that they're inventing about Donald Trump that did nothing wrong. They are guilty as sin. Biden, we've got him dead to rights. And President Trump asked the question, criticizing House Republicans, why aren't they impeaching Biden for receiving tens of millions of dollars? Why isn't he under impeachment? Because the deep state and the uniparty is corrupt as hell. And here's our hopeful little bit of light, little bit of glimmer, folks. Matt Gaetz to introduce legislation to defund Jack Smith's witch hunt against President Trump. Folks, they need to do it yesterday. And you need to get the Republicans to vote on this. And we need to know what Republicans are with us and what ones are against us, because this is blatant abuse of it's prosecutorial misconduct. And, we're losing our republic. And if they don't do something about this, we're going to lose it. And then lastly, a couple other things. Current Ray Ebb's attorney behind Fox News lawsuit is managing director of 65 Project. His earlier attorney worked for FBI for 9 years and bashed cops on Twitter. And the only reason I want to bring this up is because what is the 65 Project, okay? The 65 Project is a campaign targeting lawyers who aided attempts by then President Donald Trump and his supporters to overturn the 2020 election results using advertisements, threats of disbarment, and changing rules within the American Bar Association, ostensibly to deter future similar efforts. The 65 Project was devised by Democrat consultant and former Clinton administration official Melissa Moss. It is a project of LawWorks, lawfare, right? A group with no website or public financial disclosures. LawWorks has previously received grants from public policy-oriented foundations, Democracy Fund, and is a fiscal project of the Franklin Education Forum, a nonprofit organization that provides training and support to advance and broaden the appeal of the progressive cause. The name 65 Project, are you listening? Refers to the number of lawsuits filed by supporters of President Donald J. Trump to overturn the 2020 presidential election. So, okay, here's what's going on, folks. They're well-funded. I've heard they have millions and millions of dollars. They're going to use lawfare and every means available to go after people like Matt DePerno. right? Any of the attorneys that worked in the 65 election integrity cases, to bankrupt them, get them disbarred, or both, and make it so no one will ever hire them again. They want to make the bar so high, okay, that no one will dare represent a Bill Bailey or a Garland Favorito or anybody else in the future. This is criminal. They're attacking our constitutional rights, our First Amendment rights, right, to petition the government with a redress of grievance. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise of thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people to peacefully to assemble, or to petition the government for a redress of grievances. We are in a constitutional crisis. You can really make the argument that we're just a constitutional republic on paper. In practice, it no longer exists anymore. So, anyways, folks, we got people coming in. I got to get out of my office, so I've got to end it here. As always, I am a Christian, okay? I believe in Jesus. I hope everybody, if you haven't, ask Jesus into your heart and become saved, because time is short. And I love this country. We live in the greatest country in the history of the world, folks. And if we don't get active, we're going to lose it. We are in the fourth turning. We're at that coming up on that 250-year cycle. And it's going to be up to us to save our country. So 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. We need more whistleblowers like came forward. I know there's people from the government that watch this that have the goods on the deep state. Do what's right. Clear your conscience. Come forward. Blow the whistle. Let's take our country back. You will be heroes, folks. But remember, we are going to win eventually. And, if you're on the wrong side, you're going to pay. I believe Jack Smith and people like Dana Nessel and these creepy people are ultimately going to pay and hopefully be in prison. So keep praying and keep prepping. May God bless you and keep your family safe. Until next time, Sons of Liberty out.